Hello, CBA, fellow CBA GMs. I am Alan of the Billings team, and if you watched the video I did the other night, I did a bit of a first round prediction. And now that we've already completed the first round before the timer has even started, I thought I would do a quick first round breakdown. And just to start off and say, like how how nice it is to see that we have already gotten one plus round of the draft in the books before technically any of us have actually been on the clock. I think it bodes well for the league as a whole, that we're just starting up. And like I think maybe it was Kevin that said in the Slack, it's good to see nobody's MIA already. These things I'm sure have a tendency to have high turnover, especially when it's just a video game that we're playing. There's no money or anything involved, so guys can and do just disappear. But I do think it bodes well for our startup here that we have this level of engagement and activity already to where we're already into the second round. We're on the third pick of the second round, and technically our clock doesn't even start until tomorrow. So uh, congrats to all of us on that. I think it is a good sign of things to come. So that said, let's take a look at how the first round broke down, and I'm just going to bring up OOTP to look at the guys. I guess maybe I could. Is there something? I wonder if Stats Plus has something better to look at. I haven't looked at Stats Plus a ton yet. Let's see, do we have we do have the picks, but I prefer to look at them in OTP. It's just, I'm more comfortable navigating the game, I guess, at this stage than I am the Stats Plus. So, let's start with, yeah, Cheyenne. Gotta get this shared. Cheyenne had the 1 pick and, went with a guy that I said would have been a top 5 pick for me, at least, and could have been argued that he could have went number 1, and he did go number 1. It was Mikey Cannonball Garmin, and I had already broke it down. There's nothing wrong with this guy except that maybe he's rather thin-skinned, but he's extremely popular nationally, so I'm sure that doesn't come up much. He's only 350,000. He plays a very good second base, and he plays a passable third, short, and left. Great ratings up and down. Could easily be. He's got an 85 in stealing. So some reason I feel like I don't think that was an 85 when I did it the other night. But how could it have changed? 85 stealing, 80 base running. Guy's gonna run wild. Got a great eye, good pop, and good doubles and triples and good homer pop. 70 hit tool. Cool nickname. Perfect first pick, I think. Just really good foundation to a team at the cornerstone, and the first guy off the board was an infielder. Then Columbia, kind of maybe the one somewhat surprise for me that I know the guy that I didn't mention in the first one that I did that I said could be a potential first rounder was this guy John Breeden, and I can see why Columbia went for him. The batting ratings are not overwhelming when you look at them. The eye is fantastic, of course, but the 70 shortstop, he's got the potential to be an 80 third baseman. Great range, 80 arm, so like a Rafael Furcal arm. Great at turning the DP, can run. He's a good teammate. He's also nice and cheap, 380,000. He's only 25 years old. So, maybe I think this is more a case of me kind of overlooking John Breeden than him not being worthy of a first round pick or anything like that. And I'm not doing this even if I didn't agree with any of these picks, I'm not doing this to drag anybody or anything. We're all trying to put together our own teams the way that we want. Who would I be to dog anybody's pick? But Breeden was not a guy I had as being a first rounder, and you know I don't think he's not a first rounder. Like I said, I think it's more on me kind of overlooking him than him not being a first rounder. And I will say, excuse me, uh, infield defense I think is going to be very important in the context of the league that we're in because of it, being the 80s. We have a lot of ballparks that still have turf, so infield defense I think is going to be key. And locking that up right away, the first two teams, second baseman and a shortstop, just went bam bam. A couple of really solid, very reasonably priced infielders, young age guys that should be sticking around with these teams for a long time. So I like the pick. Not a guy I had on my list, but he's a decent teammate who loves chili dogs. Good pick, John Breeden. Number 3, the Salt Lake team. We had our first pitcher taken, and it was Christian Viacana out of Philadelphia. 1.6 million. Really looks like he's probably going to be a stud, though. Even if he doesn't, we joked around in the Slack. Maybe he'll go to Driveline, and that slider will turn into at least an average slider, because right now it's not a good pitch for him at 35 of 35. But 65 stamina. He's a workhorse. He's a good teammate, high loyalty, high work ethic. I guess the personality class is unknown, but he will volunteer for extra work. Works 91 to 93. Great rated. The other pitches, the 3 primaries that he throws are all plus pitches: 60 fastball, 65 of 70 changeup, and a 70 sinker. So 21 years old, going to be 22 on opening day. Should anchor the rotation for, I would think, several years. And it's not the pitcher I thought would go first, but I believe he definitely was on my list as a potential first round pick. Yes, he was. So at least I think every other one that went in the first round I had said could have been a first round. It was just Breeden that I didn't. No, Applegate. I didn't have Applegate when we get to him at 11. I didn't have him on there either. But again, not that means anything. But we have our first team, Salt Lake, that started their team with a pitcher. Number 4, the Norfolk, were they the Admirals? Went with Cesar Vasquez. This was the shortstop. This was my number 1 shortstop. Breeden actually was my number 2, but I just didn't have him going in the first round. But this guy, Vasquez, was my number 1, the 70 hit tool. Plays really all over the infield at a average or plus level. 50 at left, 50 at short, 50 at third, 45 at second. But great eye, 70 hit tool, can run a little bit. Not gonna steal 50 bases or anything, but great infielder. 21 years old, going to be 22 on opening day. 1.4 million, a little bit on the pricier side, but a switch hitter with a 70 hit tool. This guy could contend for batting average crown potentially. Ground ball hitter, spray hitter, but ground ball hitter. Great gap power, good home run pop, really good eye, great at avoiding the strikeouts. Out of Bayamon, Puerto Rico, Cesar Vasquez to Norfolk, picked number 4 overall. Number 5, the Springfield Isotopes took my personal favorite outfielder, I think, Anthony Lyman. Was really hoping he would somehow drop to 12. Didn't have much hope of it, but a very popular national league player, 22 years old. He'll be 22 for part of the season. He'll turn 23 in the middle of it, but a 65 and left, a 55 and center, a 60 right. Can also play adequate to plus first base. Great range in the outfield. Not a great arm, but great range. Good speed. Pretty good base runner, but 70 contact, 70 in the gap power, 55 on the home run pop. Okay to decent eye at 45 and 60 avoid Ks, 1.33 million. Anchor of the outfield. Probably going to play him in center. Better in left, but can easily play passable to plus center. But nice and young, potential great leadoff man, maybe a great two hitter. Bats right, throws left. Yeah, I really liked this guy and was really hoping he would get to me, but alas, he go number 5 to the Springfield Isotopes. Number 6, the Champagne. I don't remember what the Champagne team. Champagne Chargers. Yeah. Champagne Chargers took what is this thing? I don't think you guys can see this. I have like a little bar here from StreamYard in the way. The Champagne Chargers took Robbie Baez, another much liked outfielder of mine personally, and his price was that much raised. A little lesser defensively, but much better runner. 75 stealing, 75 speed, 65 base running. It's only $352,000. Bats right, throws right. Plays a fine center at 50, plays a fine left at 50, and you can put him in right. 65 contact, 70 gap power. 55 home run, a really good plus I at 60, and a 55 avoid K. Going to be 25 on opening day. Another and I keep saying this better. A good anchor to the outfield. We're all drafting anchors. We're all drafting foundational pieces to our team here. So I'm saying it out of habit. The personality on Robbie Baez, nothing stands out about him. I think the 75 speed and 75 stealing stand out about him, and the 65 hit tool. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that stand out about him, but OOTP, not loving Robbie Baez's personality. Nothing stands out about him. Just a really good ball player. That's all. Yeah, I really like this pick. And another guy that if you watch the first one, I think I was saying, if he lasted to me at 12, I would have been thrilled. He did not. Daytona at number 7 takes our second pitcher off the board, the pitcher that I thought would go first, but he goes second. This is Matt Holzer, 28 years old, going to be 29 on opening day. He is an extreme ground ball, a side armor, extreme ground ball side armor. Throws 3+ to double plus pitches, a 65 slider, a 70 changeup, and a 70 sinker. So that's where obviously the extreme ground ball comes from. 65 stuff, 75 movement. So gets a lot of movement on that sinker, why it grades as a 70, as well as the slider and changeup. So probably getting a lot of movement on all three of those. And a 60 control, so he's not walking anybody. His personality class is a spark plug. He's got high adaptability and work ethic and intelligence out of Prairieville, Louisiana. And he is a right-handed pitcher. So this is the guy that I kind of thought would be the number 1 pitcher. I could see maybe the ding being the stamina. I'm not sure exactly how 55. I mean, 55, you would have to consider that above average, right? So I don't think it's probably much of an issue. And he's a ground ball pitcher, maybe more of a pitch to contact kind of guy. So I don't probably not too many instances where he's getting yanked at like 5 innings or anything. I think old Matt Holzer here is a fine piece to any rotation. He's also extremely popular nationally. So yeah, this is the guy I thought would be the number 1 pitcher taken. I actually had Viacana as number 2. No, number 3. I had John Bennett as my number 2. Viacana as my number 3. But so of the first 7 picks, 2 guys start off with pitchers. But then as we'll see here, right after this, we had Fort Myers go with, where is he? Eddie Vega, another 21 years. So the young pitchers seem to be the heavy targets here in the next several picks. This one, 21-year-old, 176 day, Eddie Vega. And, we saw in the Slack, there are some rumors about how Eddie Vega got the nickname Fibber. I'm not going to go in any of those here. I'm not at liberty to do that, but it's kind of a funky nickname to have. Doesn't really sound like a good nickname. He also has high levels of greed. He is selfish. He is not a good leader, and he is not loyal. So, based purely on the numbers, and of course, I mean, look at the pitches. He's got plus to double plus on four different pitches. Extreme ground ball pitchers. You love to see that. 65 a 70 on the stuff. Great movement, great control. But I think maybe the personality stuff maybe scared away a couple guys that otherwise maybe would have rolled the dice on Eddie Vega, and I don't think it's much of a dice roll. Clearly, he's going to be very, very good. But maybe you worry about when that first, you know, time to hit free agency for Fibber Vega comes around, that maybe he would rather test free agency than stick with Fort Myers. That's where that greed and lack of loyalty may come in. He's not a leader. He doesn't give a damn about his teammates. He is very popular nationally. That combined with high greed and low loyalty, will that cause him to chase the money elsewhere if Fort Myers doesn't or can't pony up? He's already making 1.33 million, so that's it's quite a good amount in the CBA right now. But we already know that he's a guy that may very well chase the money. But hey, he wins a title or so, or something in Fort Myers. Maybe he wants to stick around. I mean, guys can change. He's 21. We're probably all different now than when we were 21. Some of you guys might still be 21. Shit, I don't know. But let's give Eddie Vega the benefit of the doubt. Nicknames are not always earned, through nefarious means. Maybe it's just a odd situation that gets him the nickname Fibber, one that I've never seen on OOTP before. But hey, it's got to be some kind of story to it. Number 9 pick, Charleston takes another pitcher, another young pitcher, I believe, Danny Mendoza, 24 years old, only 440,000, throws 4, I would say, plus to double plus. Maybe the changeup and sinker eventually get double plus, but 4 plus pitches. Ground ball pitcher, another high greed pitcher, but also high work ethic and intelligence, and he gets along with everyone. He understands the game inside and out. He's like the Chipper Jones of pitchers. Now, Danny Mendoza's nickname is Oyster Joe, and he is from Colombia, so perhaps he was. Colombia have a lot of shoreline or anything? I guess oysters can be in lakes and stuff too, right? But Oyster Joe, somehow Danny Mendoza gets the nickname Oyster Joe, and hey, looks to be a very solid. Again, all of these guys, very solid start to a rotation here. So another team, this would be the third in a row that went starting pitcher. And what I think is interesting about the first round, and I liken this to fantasy drafts a lot, but for me personally, like when I take a pitcher, if I'm going to take like an ace in the first, I kind of like to double tap it and also get a pitcher in the second. Now that's fantasy baseball. It's not OTP, but I kind of wonder how many of you guys are going to have a similar mindset, or the opposite, or you're just going to take the best guy there, or are you hoping a certain other pitcher lasts you in the second so you can go pitcher, or is it kind of a situation like where Kevin said he wanted to make sure to get an ace because there's not a whole lot of them out there, not necessarily, oh, I definitely want to go pitcher here, but the next time my pick comes up, there's a good chance the aces could be gone, whatever. But we have another 2 more pitchers after this to make for 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 straight pitchers taken, and 7 total in the first round. So yeah, I guess the dominant position in the first round would be SP. Number 10, Green Bay. Kevin takes my number two pitcher, my personal number two pitcher, Jonathan Bennett, Jonathan Laddie Bennett, a ground ball pitcher. His style of play is endorsed by the fans. He gives all he has all the time, earning respect from all sides: the umpires, the fans, opposing team, hot dog vendors. They all love Jonathan Bennett, and that love and respect has garnered him a hefty $1.62 million contract. That's among some of the higher that we've seen in the first round. 70 control, not going to walk anybody. Throws a bunch of pitches, and all of them, 55. You say league average or better, or plus or better, whatever you want to say. It's hard to say a guy throws 6+ pitches, but say the 60s or plus, he throws 3+ pitches and then 3 above average pitches. So very, very good pitcher. 29 and 240 days old, so 30 years old around OD. Still, going to have several years of a fan favorite. He's loyal. He has low greed. This guy is probably going to be with Green Bay for the rest of his career. I easily see that happening. The fans love him. He's loyal. He's going to want to stay in Green Bay. And Green Bay, Green Bay, when they pick a guy, man, they love that guy. And that's just kind of a Green Bay thing. Not necessarily baseball, but I think it carries over. Number 11, we had the Yonkers team go with, who the hell was it? Applegate. Steve Applegate, a 27-year-old pitcher, throws 3 very good pitches, 2 of them plus to double plus, a plus slider, and then a pretty bad curveball. But 60 control, 60 movement, 60 stuff. Brings it at 94, 96, one of the harder throwers, SP-wise, in the class. Nickname is Shanty, Steve Shanty Applegate. The fans appreciate his effort. So a little less than John Bennett, whose style of play is endorsed by everybody all the time, everywhere. Steve Applegate's, the fans appreciate his effort. That's fine, Steve. Go out and give it a good effort, and we like you for it. Low greed, another guy with low greed, only making $352,000, so very easily affordable, and a guy that probably another guy that probably wants to stick with his team, with the low greed factor. Maybe he hates it in Yonkers, and he does have high adaptability though. So wherever he goes, he can get it done. 27 years old, still relatively young for an SP. Not in the early 20 range of like the Eddie Vegas and the Villacanas, but still pretty young. Still should have this guy nailed down for years and anchoring a good rotation. Well, the start of a good start to a rotation. Don't know what the rotation is going to look like. And then we land on me, the Billings team. I was wrestling back and forth for quite some time, and I'm not going to say who. Yeah, maybe it's a little uncouth or whatever to talk about guys that I wanted while they're potentially still out there, and other guys are on the clock or whatever. So I will say I was not going to take a pitcher. I was wrestling between the 2 outfielders I took and one other outfielder and one infielder. So I kind of had my list whittled down to 3 guys, and then the more I looked, I added a 4th guy to that list. Did not end up taking the 4th guy, but I really wrestled about it. I waffled back and forth. I had the guy up in the thing a few times, and I took him down. And anyhow, I ended up taking first Benito Gonzalez, and man, where the hell did he go? So 1.25 million. He's the more expensive of the first 2 picks I took. 70 hit tool, 70 on the avoid case, 65 gap power, 45 on the home run, and 50 on the eye. He's a 65 speed, 65 steal. He's great at bunting if that ends up being a thing I want to do. He's a 55 with a potential 70 in left, a 50 in center, and he can kind of play right, doesn't have a fantastic arm, better than average arm, but not a great arm. I'm going to be playing him in left. I'll be playing him in left because the guy I took, right after this. But I wanted to. My ballpark seems like it's going to suppress home runs, and in an environment in the 1980s where home runs might be a little more scarce anyway, I've kind of maybe decided that I am not going to shy away from fly ball pitchers. I'm not going to seek them out, but I'm not going to shy away from them as I would if if my ballpark were different, or if this was another uh, another startup or whatever. But I'm not going to be scared of fly ball pitchers the way I typically would, and because of that, I want premium. I'd like premium defense everywhere, but I wanted to get some premium outfield defense. And while Benito might not be premium in left, if he gets up to the 70, he will be. But 55 is more than passable. The guy I take in center, Tony, I'm gonna call it Villa because calling it Vila makes it sound like Bob Vila, and this guy's from Panama, so it's probably Villa. I take Tony Villa with the first pick in the second round, $900,000. He's a lefty, and he is a 70 in center field. And he's got a 75 range. Doesn't have a great arm. He's got a good arm, but the 70 range in center, and then the 70 speed, 70 stealing, 70 base running. He doesn't strike out. He's an 80-80 on avoid Ks, 60 contact, 65 in the gap power, 40 for the eye. So he's not going to walk a ton, but with that speed and the avoid Ks and the 60 hit tool, this guy's going to steal a billion bases. He's going to be very good in center for me, and that's how I'm starting my team, is with two top of the order outfield bats. Maybe not middle of the order bats, but top of the order bats. These guys probably in some combination or another will end up 1-2. I have to imagine. But yeah, Tony has a placid demeanor. So when told when I called him personally to let him know that he had been taken with the first pick in center, he said, okay, very placid. But watch out. You get him on the base pad, he turns into a cheetah. Turns into a cheetah on the base paths, and I think we'll be competing for the stolen base crown. And then what else did we see? Oh, we did see Yonkers go again, actually, and grab. We can take a look at him real fast. Jay Noble, second baseman, 29 years old, great ratings. Not a stud defensively, but when you're hitting, your batting ratings are this good, you don't have to be a stud defensively. And also, he's very humble. He never gets caught up in the hype. He has low greed. He doesn't run. He doesn't play great defense, but he does everything else good to great. He's got a 70 eye, 65 hit tool, 65 power. And his nickname is Sandman. So that's pretty cool. ECW, anybody? ECW? And I think that's as far as we've gotten. I'll take a quick look. Oh, we have. Oh my, we've had three more picks. Okay, so Charleston has taken another outfielder that I quite liked. So after Yonkers, Charleston takes Carlos Hernandez, who I imagine, I mean, he can play anywhere. 65 in left, a 55 in center, a 60 in right, and even a 50 at first. He's 22 years old, $800,000. Another great base runner, very fast, 60 on the contact, 70 on the gap, 55 for the home run power, 45 I and a 55K. This is a guy that I was looking at kind of with Tony Villa, and it was that little bit more bump in the center field defense and the range, and then that little bit better base running that kind of puts Villa over the top for me. I really like seeing all the 70s there for the running, and I really wanted that super center field defense. I really felt like that was going to be important for me going forward. So this is another guy I was looking at, 22 years old, 5 years younger than Villa, but yeah, and he works hard, high loyalty, high adaptability, and high work ethic. I think this is a very good pick. After that, we had Fort Myers go with the catcher, the main really good catcher, Carlos Rendon, a 75 overall, but a 60 hit to a 65 on the power. He can't run at all. The man's a tortoise. He is 6'2", 230, so he's beefy, but he's not Prince Fielder or anything. He's good catcher size. He's a good defensive catcher. He's not great. He's a 50 with a 55 for the ability and a 45 for the arm. Now he is kind of a dick, it looks like. He's standoffish, he's selfish, he has high greed and low leader and low loyalty. But, how much are we really going to have to worry about that? I don't know. I Yeah, this is a game I wanna have fun with, so I kinda wouldn't mind having a couple of these, jerkier personalities, on my team because I'm gonna goof off with it. I'm gonna do these, and I'm gonna try to write some, stupid little shit in the content, part of the Slack, but I think it might be fun to kinda have one of these jerky guys stirring things up on your team. But, hey, he's got a 60 contact and 65 power, so I think you can put up with some jerkiness for what he's going to bring at catcher. He does seem far and away, at least offensively, the the best catcher, and that was Fort Myers grabbing him. So he goes Eddie Vega, the pitcher, and then he takes a battery mate for him, and Carlos Rendon. And then the Daytona Sour Grapes, who did they go with? They went with Matt Holzer in round one. They take Danny Villalobos, who is an outfielder. So the outfielders, it's starting pitchers and outfielders predominantly. And Danny is a 30-year-old. He's a lefty bat. He's an Iron Man. We haven't seen too many of those yet. 1.83 million. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the most expensive contract demand we've seen yet, but looks like he's probably worth it. 65 contact, 70 home run power, and 70 I. The avoid K is at a 35. Yes, he'll strike out a bit, but he's going to walk a ton and he's going to hit a ton and he's going to hit a lot of homers. Probably he will be in right field. He's a 65 right field and he's got a great arm, so it makes sense that he's a 65 in right field. He's got a 70 for an arm. Some of his teammates resent his selfishness, and as a guy that makes 1.83 million, maybe one of the richer contracts we're going to see in year one, it sucks for you to be selfish, Danny. Wabi via Lobos, nickname of Wabi. But you know what? When you're that good, maybe you can be a little selfish and not have it reflect too poorly on you. So that, my friends, we are caught up now. And let's see who is actually, yeah, Villalobos. Kevin said Villalobos is a stud to get in the second round. I tend to agree. I mean, there's going to be more than one stud to be had in the second round. We still have some. Yeah, it's a 12 team league. We're all going to get a couple few studs. They're at least in my eyes, there've been no boner picks yet or anything. There've been no bad picks, so we're all going to get our share of studs. It's just kind of about what direction we want those studs to go. My question that I asked earlier: will some of these guys who took a pitcher in round one, will they want to double tap and go pitcher pitcher? Well, so far, Fort Myers did not. Daytona did not. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I have such a long wait. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. But that's round one and a good chunk of round two then. So, thanks for watching. Let's keep this thing going. We're still none of us technically on the clock yet. So great to see. And see you all on the Slack.